The book I chose for my silent reading project was The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky. A summary of this book is: in the exposition, the main characters and their backstories are introduced. The characters are Charlie, Michael, Sam, and Patrick. In the exposition, Charlie's friend Michael commits suicide and Charlie has to go to find more friends, and he finds Sam and Patrick at a high school football game. Then, in the rising action, Charlie makes friendships with his new friends, Sam and Patrick, and he hangs out with them all the time, but he forms some bad habits along the way. Charlie starts participating more and goes out to parties with them, and we found out their true personalities, like they do drugs and alcohol. He also forms closer relationships with them, and he realizes he likes Sam, but he knows he can't like her because that would be an awkward friendship along the road. Then, in the climax, Charlie's relationship with Mary Elizabeth is over, and Charlie has to break up a physical fight between Brad and Patrick. In the climax, Charlie has been dating a girl named Mary Elizabeth, and at a party he was told to kiss the previous girl, and he kissed Sam. This pretty much ended his relationship with Mary Elizabeth because she's his girlfriend, and that does not go down well. Then, in the climax, Charlie had to break up a fight between Patrick and Brad at school because Brad was shouting names at him in the hallway, and earlier, Brad was ignoring Patrick when Patrick would go up to him and say hi. They cannot be together because Brad's dad's views on their relationship and their society would not accept them as who they are. Then, in the following action, Charlie's school year is over and Sam triggers an emotional memory. By this I mean, Charlie's 9th grade year is over and Sam and Patrick are going off to college. They are saying their goodbyes and Sam triggers Charlie's emotional dream with his Aunt Helen molesting him every Saturday when she came to his house. After, in the resolution, Charlie is in a hospital because he was found in a daze. He was realized he was a victim of sexual abuse. Charlie was found in a daze in his living room. We sent him to a hospital for 2 months, and he realized his dream of Aunt Helen was true, and he had to tell his parents what was happening to him. Next is the literary elements. In Perks of Being a Wallflower, the author includes diction in Charlie's entries, such as how Charlie's way of thought is in the book, and it helps the readers better understand what the characters are feeling or how their world is. The first evidence. I don't know if you have ever felt like that you wanted to be asleep for 1,000 years, or just not exist, or just not be aware that you exist, or something like that. I think wanting that is very morbid, but I don't want it when I get like this. That's why I'm trying not to think. I just want it all to stop spinning. If this gets any worse, I might have to go back to the doctor. It's getting bad again. This helps the reader fully understand what Charlie is feeling when he misses his Aunt Helen, and he is feeling almost suicidal or confused. His head might be spinning because he might be faintly remembering that something bad happened to him, but he's not quite sure what that is and why he is so puzzled. Next, in the next quote, there is also diction, and the quote is, "Or being an innocent victim. It's just something that I never want to experience." This, in a way, foreshadows what Charlie is going to feel when he finds out he's an innocent victim, which he will be depressed and irritated when he finds out what really happened to him with the person that he really admired, which was his Aunt Helen. Next, the next quote is, "So I looked up and we were in this giant dome like a glass snowball, and Mark said that the amazing white stars were really only holes in the black glass of the dome. And when you went to heaven, the glass broke away, and there was nothing but a whole sheet of star white, which is brighter than anything but doesn't hurt your eyes. It was vast and open and thinly quiet, and I felt so small." This quote demonstrates when Charlie thinks how big the universe is and how he's only a fraction of it. This is like when he was compared to being a wallflower, which means that he listens and observes the world in its entirety and its beauty. So all these quotes pretty much help to show how Charlie is feeling in the book, but also the author helps using this diction and figurative language in how the characters also feel. Usually characters are similar in lots of books because they share the same character archetypes as many in multiple books do. In this book, I found the archetype of a mentor. Bill perfectly fits this. A mentor is a person who serves as a teacher to the initiates and sometimes works as role models or a father/mother figure to them. Evidence for this is He made me tea, and I felt like a grown-up. He even let me smoke a cigarette in his office, but he urged me to quit smoking because of the health risks. This show, Bill is trying to teach Charlie that he shouldn't smoke, and Bill does this because he is trying to help Charlie with his health and guiding him in away from bad things in the world, which this is kind of a father figure because he's steering him in the right direction. The second evidence, I just want you to know that you're very special. And the only reason I'm telling you this, I don't know if anyone else has before. This shows Bill's almost being a father figure to Charlie because he sees Charlie as unlike everyone else and he cares for him, and Bill is very proud of him in this sense. Also, Charlie would be considered an unbalanced hero. An unbalanced hero is the leading character in a story who has or must pretend to have a mental or emotional deficiency or lacks emotion. The first evidence is, the truth is that when Patrick dared me, I knew if I kissed Mary Elizabeth, I would be lying to everyone, including Sam. This shows Charlie doesn't have the emotions most would have, which is if their girlfriend or boyfriend was next to them and they were told to kiss the prettiest person, they would kiss their boyfriend or girlfriend. They know they have to kiss their partner because it would be wrong to do otherwise, like what Charlie did kissing Sam instead of being loyal to Mary, his girlfriend at the time. The second evidence of Charlie being an unbalanced hero is, but I kindly figured out that everything I dreamt about my Aunt Helen was true. And after a while, I realized that it happened every Saturday when we would watch television. This shows that Charlie has an emotional condition, which is why he replaced the fact of his Aunt Helen abusing him with happy memories because he wanted to forget that chilling experience. That is why I feel that Bill should be the mentor of this story, and Charlie is the unbalanced hero of this story. Next is the situational archetypes of this story. I put the call to adventure for the exposition. Charlie was in his everyday normal life, and then his one friend died and he went off to start his journey into the unknown, which was when he had to go to make more friends. The first evidence. But this time I went alone because Michael is gone, and Susan hangs out with different boys now, and Bridget is still crazy, and Carl's mom sent him to Catholic school, and Dave with the awkward glasses moved away. This evidence shows pretty much of all of Charlie's friends are gone or he still hasn't connected with them, which in the exposition he has to start a new journey, which is finding his new friends. So since all his friends are gone, he has to go replace them with new friends. The second evidence is, hey, you're in my shop class. He's a very friendly person. I'm Charlie, I said, not too shyly. This evidence shows Charlie introducing himself to Patrick and Sam, which is in the exposition of the book because he needs to make those friends in order for the story to happen. The call to adventure, as provided by these evidence, fit into the exposition because he's in his everyday normal life. Then he has to start a new journey into the unknown, which the unknown is making more friends in the world. The next plot that fits perfectly into the hero's epic journey is the rising action, which is the call to assistance. The rising action, Charlie is committed to his friends and he starts his new life with them. The first evidence. Sam told me during the game that they were going over to a friend's house later for a party. Then she asked me if I wanted to go, and I said yes because I've never been to a party before. This is his new life because he does drugs and goes to parties and participates in more than what he used to do. Before in Charlie's life, he was, as some might call, antisocial and not as into the things he does in his new world with his friends. The second evidence. I ate my brownie and it tasted a little weird, but it was still a brownie, so I liked it. But this was no ordinary brownie. Since you're older, I think you know what kind of brownie it was. This shows when Charlie first went into his new lifestyle with his drugs and his friends. This plot event fits perfectly in the call to assistance of the hero's epic journey. This is because in a call to assistance, the hero, or in this case, Charlie, the main character, goes into the new world, which the new world for him is doing drugs and participating more, like going to more parties would be an example. The next situational archetype would be the plot event of the resolution fits perfectly into the unhealable wound. The unhealable wound Charlie realized he had when he found out that his aunt was molesting him, and he was driven to almost madness like when he was found in a trance. The resolution is the unhealable wound because Charlie has memories of the fun and good times that he had with his aunt that replaced the fact of which was really happening. So he probably forgot the time because how traumatizing the psychological wound was. That was his way of forgetting, or maybe his little emotional condition. The first evidence is, when I fell asleep, I had this dream. My brother and sister and I were watching the television with my Aunt Helen, and she was doing what Sam was doing. This describes the unhealable wound that Charlie remembered about, which was his aunt putting her hand down his pants and touching him, which this would be a very traumatic memory of his, and this drove him to madness because he finally figured out what was happening to him and that he uncovered through all of his happy memories of Aunt Helen. The second evidence is, but I kind of figured out that everything I dreamt about my Aunt Helen was true. And after a while, I realized that it happened every Saturday when we would watch TV. That shows when Charlie knew that the traumatic experience he had was real, and he finally came to terms with it because he finally remembered what he tried to forget long ago when he was younger. This fits perfectly into the situational archetype of the unhealable wound because Charlie has a psychological wound that cannot be fully healed. That is why he was drove to madness, because he was so shocked of what really happened with his Aunt Helen. Overall, most stories are mainly the same because at most points in them, they can fit into the hero's journey because the book usually has to have a conflict or amount to something. Then, in the end of that book or story, that conflict would be cleared, so chances are that most books do fit into some time of the hero's epic journey.